To call our Sheikh, our Imam, Sheikh Moutasem Al Hameedy, will shortly and briefly go over the different topics we will discuss during the conference. فليتفضل مشكورا مأجورا.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. So, inshallah, this conference, as you know, is titled Castles of Faith. How to preserve our Iman in times of doubt and fitna. And I believe this is a topic of extreme importance to every Muslim. Not only Muslims in the West, all around the world, because the doubts and the fitan are widespread everywhere. Mainly online. You'll find them even in educational institutions, schools, universities. You'll find them on the media. So the Muslims are bombarded with so many doubts, so many accusations that really get after, like, they sort of build up where a person reaches a state where they could sometimes question their faith and their iman, because we're human beings. We are human beings, and when there are so many doubts around us, when our faith is always under attack, sometimes this actually leaves a dent on our hearts. So if we don't learn how to protect our hearts and these castles of faith, then we won't be able to preserve our iman. And no one, as Umar ibn Abdul Aziz rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, "Man amina Allah ala dinihi tarfata aynin salabahu iyah." Any person who feels so safe and secure when it comes to their faith and iman, then Allah could take their iman away from them. Why? Because a Muslim is always supposed to be vigilant and careful about their faith, to preserve it. They always feel anything could take their iman or could affect their iman. So they're always on the lookout for any threat that is there, in order to learn how to defend themselves against it and protect their faith and their iman. The metaphor castles of faith is taken from one of the great scholars of Islam, Ibn al-Qayyim, and actually he takes it from his teacher, Ibn Taymiyyah, where he says that the heart of the believer is like a castle. It's like a castle. And the believer has to, or when a nation or a people have a castle, they have to keep maintaining it. Because some walls will start falling off, some of them will start going, wearing out. So you need always to renew and maintain this castle in order to keep it strong. There will be always attacks. And, it's the target. Your castles of faith are always the target of the enemies. So you are under threat, you're under attack. You are an easy target to your enemies. So he says, if you do not keep strengthening your iman and repelling the doubt and strengthening these castles of faith, then all of these doubts and all of these shots that you are receiving might penetrate into your heart and start causing damage to your faith. So this is where the metaphor came from. So we want wanted the title of the conference to be more optimistic and more on the positive side rather than on the passive side. On the passive side, okay, yes, we have doubts, we have a lot of accusations, we have a lot of problems and challenges to deal with. But we don't want to just dwell on the challenges and the problems. We actually want to see how we can build our iman, strengthen our iman. So we want to take it from a positive perspective. So thus we called it castles of faith, meaning that our starting point is that our iman is strong, our faith is strong, our religion is so powerful, has so much potential, but maybe sometimes we don't tap into the full potential of this religion. So the topics we will be talking about, I won't be going over them one after the other, but generally speaking, I will talk about the framework and the main titles that we will be addressing. So we will be focusing on the sources of doubt, the sources that could cause some Muslims to question their faith or start, having issues with their faith. So, for example, here we will address educational institutions, the schooling that our kids go through. Sometimes they hear a lot of things from their peers, from their classmates. They hear some stuff from their teachers, and all of these things affect them. They also hear some things in the media So, and the educational process that our students go through, there's a lot of stuff that is given to them. And sometimes, or most of the time, it's presented from a non-Islamic point of view. Because science has to be presented through a framework. There's nothing as pure science. There's nothing such as pure science at all. There's nothing like that. It's all a human interpretation. So when curriculums, when teachers, they present the information, they have to put their own twist on it. That's a human experience. So if the Muslims do not, Muslim institutions, Muslim teachers and scholars, if they do not provide the Muslim perspective on these sciences, then we have left the scene and the field for people from a non-Muslim background to dominate that area, and then our children will see science as essentially in contradiction to religion, and that these two cannot really meet. So this is one thing that will be addressed, the schooling system, the educational system, and what our kids are exposed to from an early age. And then also we will address our environments in the masajid. Are they conducive to our youth and to our adults to really come and practice their religion and benefit, and also develop as human beings? Do we have welcoming environments, or do we have off-putting environments that push people away from the masjid? And how is this strengthening people's faith or weakening it? We need to, see our mistakes and also see the good things we're doing so that we can increase in the good and sort of treat our mistakes and try to avoid them before any serious damage happens. Other issues that we will be addressing is the family, a very important institution, because the child grows mainly within a family, and a lot of the stability in faith and religion depends on the emotional development of the child, of the person. So if a child is brought up in a balanced family where they are not deprived of the love and the affection of their parents, so they are being appreciated in the house, they have a healthy relationship with the father, a healthy relationship with the mother, and there's a lot of education and connection within the family, most of these children grow up to be resilient and well-grounded in their faith, and they embrace their identity. But when the child grows in a dysfunctional household where the parents have issues, the child is deprived emotionally, and they don't feel the attachment. On the contrary, they might sometimes feel some animosity and hostility towards some of their parents. They don't feel that they belong to this family. They're going to start searching for a sense of belonging somewhere else, in school, in the street, maybe sometimes online. People are going to make virtual friends, and they're going to bond with them and open up to them and seek advice from them and take it to heart. And they would not be turning towards their parents to benefit. So these are important things, factors that either strengthen our faith, the environment either strengthens our faith or it weakens our faith and the faith of our younger generation. We will also be addressing some of the aspects of Islamic education, the way we present Islam. In a world where there's a lot of stimulation, most of the younger generation and even the adults now are the target of extreme and enormous stimulation. They play video games, social media. A 1-minute video has so much in it, so much information, so much stimulation, so much imagery in it that is very captivating. So when we do our Islamic education, a lot of people are complaining that the classes are boring, that the classes they do not address everyday realities and problems. They're so disconnected from reality. When we teach fiqh and we teach aqeedah, some Muslim teachers, they don't make the connection clear between what they are teaching and the challenges that are faced by every human being on a daily basis. So if we cannot capture the problems of our daily reality within our Islamic education, because Islam addresses these problems and it provides powerful solutions, but sometimes we are not able to bridge that gap and show the connection where people can see how Islam can truly benefit them, not only in religious matters, but even in worldly matters, because Islam is designed to actually set everything right. Matters of the heart and matters of the dunya, practical matters of this life. So a lot of the topics will be, inshallah, addressing such issues. We'll be delving into some specific areas. So some problems and challenges will be highlighted, and some problems, or some actually opportunities, and some recommendations and advice will also be shared. So my recommendation to you is that pay attention, and anything that is shared, try to read it into your life. Does it address some of the issues you face in your life? Maybe with your own children, maybe with your own siblings for the younger ones, maybe in your own life. Sometimes we have doubts, but we don't realize it, just because we haven't put a label on it that this is a doubt. And some of the speakers, inshallah, will be highlighting some of the red flags or the early signs of some of our youth having serious issues with their faith. But usually we dismiss these signs as just, a matter of he's a young boy or a young girl, and this is just gonna pass, like everything that went before. But sometimes these issues are serious, and there are patterns. So if we do not pay attention to them early and address them early, it might escalate where some of the children might have a serious faith crisis. So the point here behind the whole conference is to raise awareness among ourselves and to be able at least to understand what challenges we are going through as a Muslim community in the West, and also what challenges our younger generation are going through, the children, the teenagers, because sometimes we're so disconnected. What this social media has done and all of this development in technology, what it has done is that it has escalated the frequency, and it has shortened the life cycle of a generational gap. So now, people who are 20 years old and people who are 30 years old, they are actually like two completely different generations. In the past, it would take about 30, 40 years between one generation and the other. But now with all of this lifestyle and the social media, what is happening is that sometimes even 5 years apart marks a complete new generation. A complete new generation. So sometimes we're disconnected. We don't know what's going on with the younger generation because we assume it's the same as what we went through when it's actually completely different. So some of these points, inshallah, will be highlighted to help us just develop some kind of awareness, understanding, and hopefully, inshallah, if we see something in our own lives or see some symptoms in the people around us, maybe we're able to seek help. Maybe we are able to address some of the problems and take them seriously before they escalate and it gets, far beyond our reach. So inshallah, what I would say, listen carefully. And alhamdulillah, we have a good lineup of speakers. We have people who are in the field, people with good experience. Well, obviously we have Sheikh Bilal Phillips, who's got a long experience, mashallah, in the da'wah field and in education. And I would say this man has a lot of wisdom, mashallah. So seize it, benefit from it. Don't miss out on this opportunity. We have also Sheikh Muhammad Ali, mashallah. He's involved with the youth in the UK. They have similar challenges and different challenges. And I know that he's involved heavily with the youth. So there is much wisdom that we can take from him. Sheikh Ali Barghouthi, mashallah, his calm and wisdom and his, I would say, empathy towards the listeners can add a lot of perspective and passion, inshallah, to us addressing these problems. So what I would say, take them seriously, inshallah. Take the talk seriously, benefit from them, take notes if something registers with you, and try to see how they apply to your life. This is not entertainment. Hopefully it will be entertaining, but the point here is really to highlight these issues and inshallah benefit from them and maybe share perspective. If you have something to contribute as well, there will be open sessions, there will be Q&A. So if you have something to contribute, please by all means share it, because this is how knowledge grows, and this is how different points of view come together by sharing and discussion. So you're invited to heavily get involved in this, inshallah, and I hope and I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes this conference a beneficial time for all of us, a learning experience for all of us, and hopefully we'll see the fruits of this. Jazakumullah khairan, wa sallallahu wa sallam ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.